And welcome back to Community.tm podcast. This is series 2, episode 3, called Sexuality. Okay, guys. So, I wanted to talk about sexuality because it's super important for us to know our sexuality. And I feel like in today's world where I am in Canada, accepting people is becoming more of a thing. People are able to be more of themselves, and it's time to really get to know yourself so that the world can be better and that we can stop certain oppressions on certain individuals. And so if we can open up our minds just a teeny weensy bit, we'll start to realize that this is actually life, and it's not something that is bad or that is something that we should be wary about. I want to talk about some different sexualities and what they mean to me, and I just want to break out how to understand your sexuality and what I think being straight really means. So let's just get right in. I'm just thankful to have this opportunity to be sharing this knowledge, because I know that this is not talked about around the world, and there's a lot of oppression about this topic around the world. And to be honest, I feel like that is so sad, because this is something that we that is us. Our sexuality is us, and if that is being oppressed, then a part of us is being oppressed, and I want that to end. I had some relationships, not like exclusive relationships, but I had relationships where they were like twin flames. I've had soulmates, and a lot of it was awesome, and I felt like I understood the whole thing of masculine energy and feminine energy, and how those really do balance each other. And then I learned that there's masculine and feminine within you, regardless of how you identify. So in the man, there's masculine and feminine energy, and in the woman, there's masculine and feminine energy. Within just that shows you that everything is broken down. So it's you have the masculine and feminine. That doesn't mean that that's just female is feminine and the guy, the man, is masculine. That doesn't mean that. And so now when we take those two individuals and we say, okay, both have masculine and feminine, now we kind of have to go lower and identify what that means for each individual person. What I want to do is break it down. So it's what you're attracted to, and then what you go after, and respecting and following and listening to yourself. I saw a few words. There's demisexual, there's pansexual, there's asexual, and then there's bisexual. So demisexual is forming a strong emotional bond before any sexual connection. Has anyone ever tested to question, why is there so many people who, and not everyone's the same, but been in relationships with people, and then during those relationships they are attracted to somebody else, so then they go for somebody else after the relationship, or which is someone who is different than who they previously went with. So let's say a man previously was with a woman, and then after the woman he went with a man. His sexuality might be however, but let's say his sexuality was demisexual, so he needs to form a strong emotional bond. So say regardless of what the gender of that person is, and forgive me if I'm not on point with everything, I'm just trying to use this and clarify any feelings around. Basically, someone's sexuality is their sexuality from birth, and how they go about with the relationships is based off their sexuality. So just because a man is with a woman, and then after that he's with a man, that could be based off of his own personal sexuality. Going on to another one, there's another one called pansexual. So that's about forming an emotional and sexual attraction to regardless of their sex or gender identity. And then there's another one called asexuality, which is a lack of sexual attraction towards any gender. Because I would say I rarely get attracted to like anyone when I go outside. There's only like that rare moment where that happens. And then now I feel like introducing the whole straight mentality, because then you're living in a world where it's like, okay, like be straight. If you're anything else, then that's bad, or like you will be looked at weird, or like da da da. It's like if you live that straight profile, then your sexuality still remains the same. Deep down, even if you try to hide it, I believe it still stays the same. And so eventually you're not going to feel connected to yourself, or you're not going to feel alive in how you would be feeling if you were to, at least in your relationships, follow through with your sexuality in those relationships. Being straight, is like, it doesn't allow me to have my pansexual tendencies, or have that in me, because pansexual means forming an emotional and sexual attraction to regardless of their sex and gender identity. So already the straight profile is out the window, and that just doesn't work, right? It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right to oppress that, but the world oppresses that. And I'm not bashing straight people. I'm not bashing anything of that. I'm just opening up the conversation and opening up the topic that this is something that needs to stop, to be honest, because we need to elevate ourselves, and we need to open up ourselves so that we can live our purest life. And I feel like I'm able now to open up to this because I see how valuable it is. And whenever I see something that's valuable and something that will truly help us as individuals in our life and in our journey, I'm going to speak on it. And I feel like a lot of people are like, I don't want to step in these waters because it's too like whack-a-doo-doo for me. I feel that's not what this is about. This is a safe conversation. This is about having this conversation to open us up to this topic, and I feel like it's important. And then another one I want to add. So we did that, and then we have the one that is kind of known more, I think, is bisexuality. So bisexual is like being attracted to man and woman, so that we can kind of understand a little bit more into who we are. And same as the thing as I was saying, I believe in series 2, episode 1, Heartbreak to Freedom. I was talking about, the love languages. It's kind of like the same. This all extends into like knowing yourself, so that you can put yourself not just in a good relationship in the future, but so that you can have that understanding with yourself, because that's what is so important. We look around and we it depends where your surroundings are, but let's say you're in the city and you're just seeing a bunch of people walking around. Like you just assume, oh, that person's straight, oh, that person's this, but you have to break it down that this person sexuality may be different than even how their outer appearance is, which is fine, which is them. It's just the straight mentality really kind of boggles with the mind. And I think when people think, or people assume that someone is straight, and that, I don't know, that their sexuality is just like to one gender, it's really tricky to kind of like be yourself and open yourself. And then I think that's when it comes to like, oh, you have to feel like you have to dress a certain way, or you just wear what you wear, but like you feel like you have to dress a certain way to show these people that they got to stop projecting this whole straight thing on me. I don't think that gets projected on me. I think it does, like just in general it does, but I don't feel like it's so projected on me that I can't even be myself. You know, there's certain countries and certain places around the world where you have you're not nothing else except you have to be straight. And but I want these assumptions to be gone, because it's just not fair to the person. It's like this whole projection thing. It just, there comes a time where you just have to stop. You know, it's just for the people who I know who go through it, and you know, wish that they didn't have to have such ridicule over it around the world. But it is getting better, and I'm really happy that it is. I'm really, really thankful that it is. So, yeah, I think the advice that I would give is like to break it down. Like, you know what you like, you know who you've been attracted to, kind of narrow. You don't even have to label it, but if you're trying to figure it out, just like break it down. Like, who are you attracted to? What are you attracted to? What do you go after? Like, do you maybe have you always questioned something? Maybe that's enough. Maybe you questioning is a sign within your sexuality that you need to discover. And you don't have to have all the answers right away. You can speak to people you trust, and nowadays it's much easier to have this conversation, and I think people are opening up due to the exposure of sexuality in the past few months, at least where I live. And you have time to figure it out and like grow as an individual. As I said, I'm really hoping and praying and manifesting that this world changes and that people are more open to having this conversation. If you need to contact me and talk more about this personally, you can send me a DM on at community.tm on Instagram, or you can email me at communitytm@hotmail.com. It may be super easy for others, but if you are questioning, just take your time and enjoy yourself, because it's not a race. Some people may have found know their self now, but have taken like 10 years to get there where they are. Don't rush yourself. Just be patient. Just love your life, love your journey, and know that if this is what you want, then start attracting it. The world sets you up to be a certain way, but sorry for the sirens if you can hear them, but I do just think that take your time, you know, do what feels right, and you will eventually get to the place where you can be like, oh, okay, this is how I feel. And now that I'm speaking on something that is oppressed, I just always feel this powerful thing. And that's why I love activism, because I don't just do activism because you know, I do activism because I want the oppression on the said person or on ourselves to end. And that is why I love having this conversation. It feels free and it feels right. And it feels like if anyone is homophobic, any type of phobic towards someone's sexuality, stop. Please stop. Allow people to be how they are, and you be how you are. And there doesn't have to be a debate about that, because that's just the right of a person. The person has a right to be themselves, and you have a right to be yourself. I just feel like this was the fastest episode for time wise, and I feel like this was the most calmest I've been, and I'm just so happy to have this episode. And when it does come out, I hope you guys really resonate with it, and I hope you grow with it. And if you have any feedback, let me know. Any comments, let me know. Feel free to share. Feel free to get people in the conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in to Community Pink Room once again. Very excited for this series, and stay tuned for Series 2, Episode 4, Choosing Company Wisely. Guys, have a beautiful day and dream on. Thank you.